Okay, hello Sanji. How are you doing? Thank you for joining again today. It's always amazing having these conversations with you every now and then. It's really thrilling. Um, and I think I had a rather stressful week, but the meditation practice I did after I had the last conversation with you, it
Mhm.
really calmed me down. So, guys, welcome to today's edition. Sanji is going to be taking, we're going to be having a very soul conversation, right? A very
Mhm.
soul conversation, and it's going to be a very healthy one. Sanji has been a monk for more than 20 years,
Mhm.
and he's been practicing meditation and helping people in living a better and a more fulfilled life, a healthier life, a full-fledged life. So Sanjay, thank you for what you do. Sanjay is also a coach, meditation coach, and he helps a lot of people. So Sanjay, thank you. Please go ahead. You there? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sanji, thank you for joining again in today's session. We've had wonderful sessions. All right. In case you guys don't know Sanji has been a monk for more than 20 years. He is a meditation coach. He also coaches around serenity, mental health. Sanji has been doing incredible work. And I really always love having a conversation with you, Sanji, because there's always something to take with me. There's always something to implement. There's always a new insight. With every conversation I have with you, every time, there's always a new insight. So, Sanji, thank you again and welcome to
No,
today's
thank you
session.
so much, um,
Yeah.
Simon. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Mhm. Right. Right about now, I really want us to talk a little bit about meditation before we get into today's
Sure.
topic. Because meditation, I was in a very tight week, right?
Mhm.
But meditation somehow, when I get too stressed, I feel overwhelmed and exhausted from the pressures, external pressures, or even internal pressures. I just take a minute to breathe in,
Mhm.
be conscious, and it helps. It really helps, right? It helps. I just wish I can practice it more and more often.
Mhm.
So I want to take a minute to talk about meditation, and we could do a little practice before we jump into today's one.
Okay. So, it's about the practice and continuity we do. It's like uh, preparation also, no? And today we are going to talk about trauma and trauma recovery. Surely Simon
Mhm.
will do an introduction about it, the topic. So I
Mhm.
think that is also a key factor. So we'll talk about the solutions and many things in that aspect. So Simon, yeah, like it's like charging our mobile devices, no, or making a buffer zone, or having all these safety pads or gears in our life. So
Mhm.
we are pre-prepared for what is there. Huh? Or it's like you put a good shock absorber or a set of tires to your vehicle. Then it withstands no all the pressure of the vehicle as well as the ruggedness of the road, right? Or like you
Mhm.
get some nice or proper footwear. Uh, or likewise, what you don't wait till the thorns prick your foot, right? If it's a thorny
Mhm.
path or something, we it's better to wear a set of footwear and then go there, right?
Yeah.
And so then what happens is uh, we pre get pre-prepared, and then after so we do lot of programs in different areas, places of ethnicity, countries, even war zones, and different religions. even the Western side, the Asian side, European side. So I'm just telling, like, they don't have to change who they are, or what they are doing, or their faith, or none of that. All these are to enhance, like life coaching, mentoring, counseling, or psychology. Uh, that doesn't,
mm,
it's not trying to convert nobody or no, change their lives
mm,
upside down. They are things to like help people. No? So, likewise, these practices are also there to help people. Huh? So they can be who they are and what they are, in a good way, and they don't have to change what their belief systems or anything like that. But they can
mm,
enhance their life through these practices. Huh? It's like
mm.
doing exercises, no? But these are like exercises for the mind. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
they have to change their religion or do all these things. No, not necessary, right? Just because
Mm,
person is doing exercises, or no. So likewise, or eating healthy, or doing something like that.
mm.
Uh, so yeah, Simon, like, we will do some practices. I would like to introduce some practice, like, if possible, regarding our topic also today. Huh?
Yeah, sure, sure. That
Uh-huh.
works. That works. That works pretty well for me.
So let's according to our topic today also. Let's use something. In the end of the session also, I would like to introduce something, like a mental exercise. We can
Mm.
either do it at the beginning or even after our discussion, even Simon. Eh? So the key
Yeah,
aspect,
sure.
if we can practice like twice a day, maybe just 10 minutes, uh, because we do lot of things now per day. We sometimes we just
Yeah.
stare or brush our teeth or no, do something, or some people just watch television or something, and it shows all these wars and commotions and all these things, no? Or we just sit down and we why not just use something that is helpful for us, and
Mm.
that can bring relaxation, like refresh, and it can stop even like going to very serious conditions like even depression and all. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So burnouts, all these things can be stopped actually. So if you want, we can do one in the beginning and then at the end also, or we can do it at the end
Yes.
also. How do you like it?
Yeah, let's do one at the beginning. It will create a kind of relaxation
Okay.
of the mind so we can accept what is coming, the information coming.
Ha ha ha. Okay, okay. Okay, then we'll do some relaxation at the beginning, and then
Mhm.
we'll do a specific meditation according to our topic today also, which can
Okay.
enhance from those kind of situations. We'll talk about it more deeply
Mm,
later on. So
mm, mhm.
first relax, okay, and then if you want, slightly move your body, even your head, the neck, even the shoulders. That loosens up the body, and you can even move your hands, shake them if you need. Even your leg, place them in a comfortable position. You can do it while sitting, or later on, if you are watching this, you can do it in laying down or on a couch, anywhere you can do. But the idea is to just to loosen up. What it does is it loosen up the muscles of the body, the tendons, even the fabric of our clothing, and it aligns. Then what we will do, take a few deep breaths. Unless you have a cold, or unless you have a cold, or if there's dust around, we don't have to do this. But otherwise, you can focus on the breath. Take a few deep breaths. This is a very easy, very simple, but yet very effective way of relaxation. Just try to loosen up and then we use the breath. Later we can go for different practices that are very helpful. Very simple. This doesn't cost you anything. We breathe all the time, no? And take a breath intentionally from the nostrils and then keep it in for some time and then slowly release it from the mouth. Okay, breathing in from the nostrils, keep it in for some time and then slowly exhale from the mouth. So all these things are interconnected. Now just if you can figure it out, just see like we shook our head, shoulders, the arms, the elbows. Just see whether when you're breathing, sometimes you can feel even the movement of the shoulders, your rib cage, abdomen, chest region, maybe the arms even sometimes. Breathing in, you feel even the rib cage and all that region expanding and let it be there for some time. Let it oxygenate your body, let it travel, and then slowly release from the mouth. And then see the inclination, how you can loosen up with each exhale. So, breathing in and try to let go any kind of tiredness because this is like we are bringing new energy to the body. With each exhale, just let go of any kind of tension if possible and tiredness because it happens actually. Say you keep running for a long time or some time, then you feel no heartbeat, everything very fast, even the body heat. But you start breathing more. Then what happens? It starts settling down. But we can do this intentionally also. We don't have to run or do anything. When we bring that process to happen, we can let relaxation happen. So breathing in and keep it in your chest for some time and then slowly release it. And with that, let all the tiredness, if possible, or most of it, and any kind of stress or something, just release. Actually, that is what happens. Now let's do something. Think of like when you have a clenched fist, uh, you can let it go and release the fingers of your hand with your mind, though you have closed eyes. So likewise, let's try to loosen up parts of our body and relax. This is just the example. That doesn't mean the hand has to fall down or anything. You can still keep the hand upright, but you can loosen up the fingers, even relax them fully. So likewise, slowly take your attention to your scalp region and just see whether you can let go. If you need, you can use one of your hands and gently like do like a massage if required, or you can just do it with your mind. These are in many practices. There's called savasana in yoga. But the idea is like it's like the candle wax meet in the candle flame. When we put our attention to that region and the intention is there, it starts releasing. Just like the opposite when we do it in a negative way. Then slowly take to your forehead region. This is more clear to us when we are upset, when we are thinking something, there are even lines on the forehead region. So just let them spread out and loosen up. And then slowly move to your eyebrows. When we are angry, we are frowning. Even sometimes there are markings in between the eyebrows. But now there's no need for that. Just let the eyebrows drop to either side of the body. just like those beautiful statues of angels, no, even uh, Jesus, no, or religious figures. You can see, their eyebrows are far apart and their face and all looks so nice, so pleasant. And then slowly move your eyes. Think of a time you are in deep sleep. At that time, we don't know where our eyes are facing. But now here you are, awake and aware, but you can have the same kind of relaxation. You just have to let go of holding on to those muscles. But no worries, not that they would fall off, no? So just let it go, release it, and let them go to any direction they wish. And that you can feel because when we are tense, we feel even pressure on the top of the eyes or even pain. But when you let it go, it's so relieving. And then slowly come along your nose, you can feel the breath. Check on your teeth and the tongue. When we are tense, we tend to bite our teeth or the jaws are tight against each other, as well as the tongue gets stuck somewhere. There was actually a lady, she just did this relaxation and she got rid of a headache she had for a very long time. So just loosen up your jaw muscles if you want. Open your mouth slightly and move it. And then one side of your whole, the face, all the way right up to the chin. If possible, let it go, release. And then the opposite side of your face, right up to the chin. Then the throat area, if you want, adjust the posture. Then the front part of the neck, the back part of the neck. And then slowly come to your shoulders. Just let one easy method of relaxing the shoulders are just drop your arms on either side. Let them just hang. If you are seated on a chair, just let them hang and use minimum of effort. You can feel the it's pulling towards downwards and it's stretching and it loosens up the shoulders. Then slowly to your chest region, you can feel the heartbeat, you can feel the breathing. Then the abdomen. If you need, adjust the posture, even the fabric of your clothing to make it more comfortable. Then the upper back. If you want, adjust the posture. Then the lower back. And though our arms are put on side of each side of our body, select one of the arms. And then don't use any kind of excess effort or anything. Just let them hang. Not that they'll fall off, no? And then try to like squeeze out with your mind any kind of tension, no extra effort from the shoulder to the elbow, elbow to the wrist, all the way right up to your palms and fingertips. And specifically, no. Maybe some people will fall asleep also. And then do the same to the opposite arm also. From the shoulder to the elbow, elbow to the never mind if you fall asleep even. Just let the relaxation happen. Don't worry, Simon, we'll wake you up. And then slowly from the elbow to the wrist, all the way along the palms, right up to your fingertips. Just let it go. Even stretch out the fingers, spread them out. You feel sometimes heat even releasing. So the whole upper body we try to relax. Do the same to the lower part of the body. Just see whether you are seated comfortably. If needed, just do slight adjustments, but don't disrupt or try to be very careful. We want to take it further and further, but we are trying to settle down. And just like the arm, check on your leg, one of your legs, the upper part of the leg, the knee, the middle part of the leg, and from the ankle downwards, and feel the touch of the surface. If you are wearing shoes, or if you are barefoot or wearing socks or anything, just feel the touch of your soles touching that surface all the way right up to your fingertips with the toes. And do the same to the opposite leg also, the upper part, the knee, the middle part, the ankle, and all the way right up to feel the touch of the sole of the feet. Just try to relax. And then all the way right up to the toes. So the whole body we try to relax from head to feet. And then just stay there for some time and get the feel of it. And later you can do many, many times. It's like you are under the shower or taking a shower. Think of a very warm day, and if you are under a cold shower, you feel very refreshed. It's the opposite also when on a cold day, right? So likewise, try to feel it and then slowly move to your heart region. To your heart region and just stay there for some time. Because this is like a portal, this is like a place where you can invite God or any belief or anything or have clarity. Just stay there. In some traditions, it's called the heart chakra or heart base. And just stay there for some time. The heartbeat will accompany you. And you will know you are in the present moment. Not in the past, not in the future. You are in the present, here and now, which is a very comfortable place to be. Awake, aware, and you can bring any topic into your mind source, even a problem. But most of all, the best thing you can relax there. This is like your inner chamber. Even with the chaos of life or many things happening around you, you can always be there and separate yourself from all the turmoil. So, with that understanding, with that refreshed minds, hopefully bodies, let's go to our today's topic. And then slowly, you can bring your attention to your eyes. And if you want, before that, you can slowly move your hands and bring them and place them in a position, maybe on the arms of the chair or the table. Move your fingers slightly, maybe the toes of your feet, and then move your body slightly if needed. And then you can slowly open your eyes also. Okay? Uh,
Is the noise is there noise or is
no,
it
no, no,
okay?
no, no, it's okay. Yeah. Uh,
I can't explain what I felt, how I felt, but I was almost drifting off because I haven't been able to sleep for some days properly, some weeks, I guess. I
uh-huh.
haven't been able to. But this time I was almost drifting off to sleep.
You fell asleep, right?
Oh, yeah, I was
Yeah, I
almost drifting off to
saw.
sleep.
Yeah, and then like you were like, no, 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 now it's not the time to sleep or something. No, 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 no. Like,
I had to I had to consciously tell myself you can't sleep now.
yeah, I saw
You
that
can't be sleeping now. I
because you
had to
can
consciously tell myself
uh,
that.
when you
I kept
practice,
struggling.
and when you like practice with other people also, you can see, and then even like
Mm.
small nods and all you recognize.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, and
yes,
even in the
yes.
practice also you can identify how their mind is working. It's very interesting, and especially our own minds, no? And then even
mm,
when it's too much, when it's stressful, you can really
mm,
feel those kind of things happening. And you can, they are like trigger points or warning signs, sorry. And then before they
mm.
become worse, you can quickly do something about it.
Mm.
Okay, Simon, let's go to
Wow.
today's topic. And please
Thank you so
welcome
much for that
our
session.
friend here also.
Yes, Stas, thank you for joining us. The discourse is just an amazing one. I believe you practiced it also. It will help you really. It helps on this journey that we take every day. It helps to manage the stress. Meditation is amazing, right? It helps to calm the noise down and helps you refocus, helps you gather your energy together so you can be more productive. Because sometimes just we keep doing, never come back to gathering ourselves. I hope you enjoy the practice.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Sandy, we we're dealing with trauma,
Trauma, no? Yeah, exactly.
traumas that hinder you from living your best life. We've all had traumatic experiences. Sometimes we just don't know what these
Mhm.
experiences. We don't call them trauma, but actually they create a traumatic effect, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure.
And it has a way of coming. It's more like a pilage. If you don't fix it, if you don't deal with it, it's gonna come. It
Uh-huh.
has a way of coming and coming and coming and coming.
Sure.
And if care is not taken, it leads to depression. So we heard a lot about trauma, a
Uh-huh.
lot. People talk about trauma to this trauma, relationship trauma, childhood trauma,
Exactly.
emotional trauma, psychological. There's just a lot. And it leads me to ask one question. What is trauma? There's a lot of definition out there,
Sure, sure.
but what is trauma? Because according to what Dr. Gabor Mate
Uh-huh.
said, he says trauma is um, what happens to you after something has happened to you. It's not
Mhm.
actually what is happening to you or what has happened to you. It's what happens to you after that thing happens. So it's the effect that is
Mhm.
created by an event that is
Uh-huh.
the traumatic that is trauma. It's not
Uh-huh.
actually the event in itself. The event may lead to a traumatic experience,
Mhm.
but by itself, the event doesn't have the power. And that leads me to really ask, what is trauma? In
Uh-huh.
your perspective, really, in your perspective, what is trauma?
Yeah, yes. So true. It's a beautiful definition, Simon. It's like when you have a
Hmm.
fall and then get a wound, right?
Yes.
So I also had one recently. So okay, the fall it happened, right? But later you have to
Yes.
deal with the wounds, no? So
Hmm.
likewise, trauma is it could be childhood, like you mentioned, work related,
Hmm.
abuse or
Hmm.
relationship wise or many
Hmm.
things. Even because of
Hmm.
worldly situations also, no, it can happen. Man-made,
Hmm.
or like uh,
Yes.
from nature and all. So any kind of these things, it keeps like mental wounds. And then what happens? Just like we have to like cure a wound or first like kind of like protect it becoming worse, no? For example, if you have a wound on your leg, we don't allow it like to be trampled by others. But even a slight
Hmm.
movement or something touches that, it hurts, right? So there
Yeah.
can be trigger points that can arise because of that.
Hmm.
Uh, some
Hmm.
small things maybe other people don't even think they are trying to hurt them or anything, but they get triggered. So
Hmm.
likewise, until they are like you find some treatment or do some proper healing. Actually, the word is healing.
Hmm.
The what
Hmm.
happens is these wounds will be there, even like
Hmm.
uh, undetected or sometimes like
Hmm.
hidden from their sight. No,
Yeah.
But the thing is like the hurting will continue, or it can
mm,
arise in a sudden stage that we don't even think of, or maybe after
mm,
many years for that matter.
mm. So brings a that brings me to a question.
Haha,
All right.
sure.
Um, we have traumatic experiences, and sometimes we don't even know that
Mhm,
this experience is traumatic. Right? We just keep living our
mhm,
lives on a daily basis without getting to find out that this event has left a traumatic effect or has started a
haha,
traumatic effect, right? Because
haha,
I say this, you use the fall analogy, okay? And I can remember one time I had a fall, a very serious fall.
haha,
And okay, it was a fall and an electric shock,
mhm,
right? So I think I had a very serious electric shock. I was still very young when it
mhm.
happened,
I
and I
still have the
felt.
scars, eh? Yeah, yeah, like still have the scars. Come on, after all this time.
Oh, you see, right? So I was still very young
Ah, ha, ha, ha.
when it happened, right? And I had this very massive fall. And
Mm,
after that time, I had this traumatic experience that wouldn't leave me. I
mm,
didn't know it was there, right? But
mhm,
I noticed I became more scared of
scared.
touching electrical instruments. I
Mhm,
became very scared. I don't want to touch it. Like
mhm.
just plugging things in, I was scared, you know.
Sure.
I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't even know why it was happening, but I just knew that I didn't want to touch this thing. So one day I had to ask myself, what is going on? Why you're a man, right? You're a
Mhm,
man. You should be able to do this thing,
mhm,
right? I didn't know. And because of the fall I had, I didn't know I had the fear of height. But
uh-huh.
right now, I don't like to stay
No,
in a very high
a high place.
building, or
Uh-huh.
I don't like to stay, I get scared.
Uh-huh.
But it was just one experience, right? And being a coach, I have conversations with people every time,
Mm,
and sometimes they don't even know that there's a trauma there. It's there and it's solid. It's hindering them. You don't know that there is a trauma until you want to maybe
mm,
take a big leap. You want to make a big decision. You
mhm,
find out that you're limited. There is the fear of failure,
mhm,
right? There is the fear of there's just this fear that won't allow you to take certain actions, and you don't know where it's coming from. So
mhm,
what can be done about dealing with such challenge? Being aware. When do you become aware that you're having a traumatic experience? Is it when you start seeing the effect, or when the event happens?
mhm. Yeah, very good question, Simon. So, as a person, if you mean like a person having trauma, no, how can they recognize, right?
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh. So yeah, when it especially when it occurs again and
Mm-hmm.
again, and then there's a pattern on in it. As usually people don't
Mm,
recognize this, but when it's happening, and then you see like a pattern, like the same kind of pattern that is happening, and then maybe in your family, maybe in your relationship, maybe in a business firm, you if you get angry or like there's a pattern that happens if you are anxious, uh, then there is a time like we have to see why is this happening. uh,
mm,
is it some because sometimes out of no reason, uh, like you said, no, like fear of heights or something like that, but now we are adults, no, not the children, they are, but still there can be like then you wonder why should I even be scared. So likewise within the family or something like that, we can see trigger points or triggers happening. Then we'll have to investigate in a way and check and see why this is this happening to us. What is the reason? Uh, then through that kind of like inquisitive, or how to say, try to realize what is really happening within us. So actually, one number one step is understanding the trauma and its impact. That is a uh, because it can be caused because of many reasons, no? And uh, it has like kind of like emotional, even behavior or physical symptoms. So through those also, it's recognizable, Simon. Uh, so I'll just mention a few if you like. For example, emotional symptoms are like anxiety, depression, anger, guilt, shame. There are cognitive effects also, like a negative self perception, difficulty to trust in others. Or behavioral reactions like self isolation, unhealthy coping mechanisms, like substance abuse, or even overeating, or physical symptoms like fatigue, insomnia, chronic pain, headache, these kind of things. When it happens like again and again, then we can see like, no, so because the body is telling, no, and then you didn't have a virus, flu, or something like that. uh, you ate well maybe, no, and you rested even sometimes, but still it's happening, right? Then we can see, okay, this is a time to see what's really going on. So understanding is also key factor with as coaches, as well as within oneself also. We have to have that understanding. Okay, uh, the mic please, waiter.
Okay, that's really amazing, right? Um, I love the fact that you mentioned very key strategic things, right? You
Mhm,
mentioned things like patterns, you mentioned things like triggers, right?
mhm,
And we have a lot of coaches who follow through, who listen to what we share right here.
mhm,
So it beats me to ask the question, as a coach, right? How do you help your how do you help your clients, your coachee, right? How do you help them identify the traumatic experiences in their life, or how do you help them connect the fear they have, the depressions they have, to a traumatic experience, when in a case where the traumatic experience is the foundation or the root cause of that fear or
mhm.
that depression? How do you take them on a journey and help them see? Because sometimes when we when it comes to these traumatic experiences, we don't want to talk about it because it hurts,
Sure, sure.
most especially when it's emotional. People
Mhm,
don't want to touch certain emotional triggers because it hurts. It's not
mhm.
convenient for them.
Sure,
It
sure.
doesn't feel comfortable to talk about. So how do you help them journey into the hurtful place and
Mhm.
journey out of the hurtful place a better person?
Yeah, yeah. It's not a very easy thing also to do as a coach, no?
Mm,
Because we are
yeah.
dealing with humans and all, hearts, minds, souls,
Mhm,
all this together. And we cannot just
mhm,
be judgmental and say, oh, forget about it. Not like that, no?
mhm,
And this is their
yeah.
life, right? We cannot play around. So, one thing is like we have to be very good listeners and try to
Mm,
understand their situation. But it may take
mm,
even few sessions to do so, because, like you said, some people they really want to keep it in. And then
mm,
you have to like seek different ways of like reaching that point. Uh, Oh,
mm,
meditation plays a big role, I have seen, because when you do meditation
mhm,
objects or practice, these kind of things start coming. They don't even have to tell. But when you are trying to focus with a peaceful mental object also, these things start appearing. Then okay, like there is something happening here. But as a
mhm,
coach, or when you are, everybody is not a meditation, no, coach or something like that, no. So, but Actually, the process of meditation is also actually listening, understanding,
mm,
because it's
mm,
it's a usage actually. Though we think it's we close our
mm,
eyes and just stay in one place like a statue. No, it's very practical.
mm,
So as a coach, also we
mm,
can implement those things and see like what. So we can slowly ask questions. Uh, and
mm.
because usually a coaching session is very confidential, like a counseling session
Yeah,
and all. So,
yeah, yeah.
but some people still they don't want to open up. Some people quickly open up. That's wonderful.
Yes,
So
yes,
then
true.
we can ask like related questions, or we can just see the patterns like how was your day? What happened within
Mm,
these few days? Then we can have
mm,
an analysis of like, okay, this is happening through them, and over the years you get a
mm,
feel of it. And then you know, okay, this
mm,
person is going through a rough time, or these are the trigger points. Then we can see like, then slowly we have to walk them through that, or like try to without hurting them, or like adding salt to the wounds. We can say like,
mm,
or we can have build a connection with them, make them comfortable, and say like, you can share anything if you like with me. So there are people who went through very difficult, like even essay abuse situations. So
yeah,
it's very tough, no, for them to open up. They
yeah.
don't explain the incident or anything, but still they recall in their minds, right? So recently also there was a person, and this person was very brave not to tell the details, but actually, what went through, like, oh, this incident happened to this person, and as a child, and this person is still trying to recover. So we did some meditations and all, and actually this person felt better. Huh? So and later also was doing like practice meditation, and but she reaches other counselors also, not only the meditate, and because it was a very gross incident and it had been happening for some time as a child
Mm,
and from a close relative
mm,
also. So
mm,
then we have to see these patterns and all, and slowly try to approach them, and we can use some questions. uh, And then what we can do is like we can slowly try to build their confidence,
mm,
build positive factors within them, uh,
mm,
through mental exercises, building up mindfulness, or giving them practical solutions they can do. uh, And then what happens is later we make them stronger, and then slowly move towards that thing that really bothers them. We cannot just put
mm,
them into the deep end because they have already suffered, no? And they are
mm,
suffering still. So we have to be very
mm,
careful. But at the moment, we can give them present moment solutions also. We can
mm.
counter that, but still we can fix also. No, it's like if something like you get a tire or something punched, but you can still use. There are like tires and all. You can or put a temporary some solution and go to until you go to the garage. No, get it really fixed.
Mm,
Or even
mm,
something wrong with the mechanism. There are sometimes solutions you can do until you go to the garage, right?
mm,
Or like
mm.
when you fall, like you said, like you can put something to stop the bleeding or make it more
Yeah.
worse. No? Even
Mhm,
sometimes you have to stop the bleeding and do those kind of things also. So likewise,
mm.
you don't make too more damage, but you can give like solutions. Even if you're a business coach or anything like that, no? And then what happens is like then we can focus on what they really are going through or what they really went through.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it is a
Mm.
process,
So
and we have to be very careful.
yeah, I like the fact that you say like it truly is. It is a process, and sometimes um, people are not really patient to go through the process. And
Mm-hmm.
I get I get I get to speak with lots of coaches,
Mm-hmm.
right? Lots and lots of coaches, and one of the things I've seen is that a lot of people are not really patient with most of their clients. A lot of coaches are not patient with most of their clients
Mm-hmm.
because when you're dealing with a traumatic experience, it's so. I had an experience with a client,
Mm-hmm.
not mentioning name, and this person was struggling to get past the phase to make a certain decision,
Mm-hmm.
right? And person was struggling for a very long time. And we started coaching. It was a 3 month program. We started
Wow.
coaching,
Uh-huh.
and I the first month we were on that particular task, right? We were trying to get past it. We did
Mm-hmm.
everything, and she still couldn't. She would come back and say, "I couldn't do it. I get to this point and I can't get past it. It seems like something is holding me." We'll come back again. We'll go through it, check what's wrong. And at some point in the coaching, she just made mention of something very insignificant, right? It
Mm-hmm.
didn't sound significant, right? And for some reason, I couldn't get that word
Mm-hmm.
off my mind. Just imagine talking about business, and talking about figures, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, the person just mentioned orange.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Wow.
What is orange? How does it connect with what we're saying? But for some reason, at that point in time, my mind couldn't just get rid of orange. I didn't know what, but for some reason, I asked, what is orange to you? Why
Mm-hmm.
did orange come up in this conversation? We were having a
Mm-hmm.
very serious conversation about money, about figures, and you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
orange,
Orange.
right? That's just an example, right?
Sure, sure.
How does it come? Are you talking about orange juice or what? And I asked the question, and for a minute, she couldn't say nothing. 2 minutes, she couldn't say nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
I gave enough room for
Mm-hmm.
her to really ponder about it. And it wasn't up to the third minute, she started crying
Mm-hmm.
and began to unbottle. So why I shared this story
Mm-hmm.
is to talk to coaches who are listening or who will listen,
Sure.
right? Sometimes your client needs you to read in between the lines
Sure. Uh-huh.
because if you're gonna help them heal from traumatic experience, if we're going to heal from traumatic experience, and this is not just to coaches, if we're going to heal from traumatic experience, we need a listening ear. Sanji said that we need a listening ear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you're coaching a client, you need to just be there to give them the ear, right? They just need to know that someone is listening, and you're not seeing them as a victim. You made mention of that because it's very quick for us to see people as victim, and we take up a all of a sudden we begin to counsel them instead of coaching them. We begin to tell them, you know what, I've been through this. At some point, they don't need you to say nothing. They just want you to listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be able to read in between the lines for them. What are they saying that they are not saying? What are
Mm-hmm.
they trying to say that they don't know how to say? What are they not saying that they have to say? What do they don't What do they not want to talk about, right? What are those things they don't want to talk about that they need to talk about? And what are the things that they are talking about that they don't have to talk about? We need to be able to help clients, help ourselves, and have conversations, healthy conversations, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's a beautiful
So
point. Yeah.
yeah, so I have experienced something, Sanji,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about the the expansion. I like to call it the expansive, explosive process of
Mm-hmm.
trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's really scary how explosive or implosive trauma can become,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like cancer. It could start as
Yeah.
just a dot, and before you know it, it could have spread all through the entire body, shutting down the person.
Mhm.
I want you to talk a little bit about that. What is the process? What is the psychology behind it? What is the biology, or what is the science behind the expansion, the growth of this traumatic experience? Because it's now like an everyday thing. You hear it in the business world, you hear it in family, you hear it on TV, you read it from books. 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago,
Mhm.
maybe there was trauma, but it's not at this rate. And
Yeah.
it calls for an attention right now. It calls
Mhm.
for a deep conversation right now.
Mhm.
What is going on? Why is it increasing? And when we experience trauma, why does it continually grow? Why can't it stay stagnant? Right? Why
Mhm.
doesn't it stay
Sure, sure.
stagnant? Why does it continually grow? And why is it increasing in our society today?
Okay, it's a very nice thing you brought up. So, yeah, usually stress related. Huh? Stress
Mm,
it has a big role in many places as stress, and then
mm,
what happens in our minds has nowhere else to go rather than the body.
mm.
Huh? Because how
Wow.
where else to go, right? That's why people, for example, in more subtler stages, we when we are anxious or something, or even our breathing gets faster, heartbeat gets faster, we made the body heat gets higher, huh? And then maybe we feel like sweating, and even some people like can urinate or defecate. That also happens,
Mm,
right? Or vomit even, no? It happens
mhm.
not because something else, just because of fear or something, or some reaction
Yeah.
in the body, right? Or some people get
Mm,
rashes on the body, huh? And not only that, so it is mentioned, Simon, like this is like a high voltage that builds. Say a lightning strike or something wrong with the system. Huh? Usually, like in our different regions, we have normal electricity supply. No, here we have like 230 per house. Huh? The voltage, normal voltage. Some places it says 160, 180. No, so in some countries. So likewise, but say like 18,000 or 33,000 or 84,000 counts high voltage. It can burn up all the utensils, right? Even harm people in the house or can make the house go burn up in flames. It's too much. Likewise, though we don't think this is so much, this trauma or things like associating with the mind, it has effect on our vital organs, heart, brain, even the blood system. There can be ruptures in like blood vessels, which can bring paralysis or heart attacks, all these kind of things. Malfunctions, no? Even some organs they can malfunction because of this just by a thought of it. Uh, Even people like Sigmund Freud and all the vast research about this. And when some person just put out something that was hidden, deep hidden, like a secret, the people who could not walk and walking on crutches, they started walking because this was like the blockage that was stopping. The whole lower region of the body was paralyzed just because of a thought or intention. I won't mention the intention now, but these things happen. So, likewise, when especially in a traumatic situation, this is like we mentioned, it's like a wound, right? Uncured or unhealed wound. So, it can be stepped upon, it can hit somewhere, uh, or the wind or the heat or anything, or can it can just brush and like a wound. No, I'm just mentioning about the wound. uh, so there can be so many reasons that it can be like bruised again, or the hurting can have, or it can worst is it, like if it's a wound, it can start infecting, getting infected, and it can even start rotting inside. No, maybe we cannot see for the outer surface. But the symptoms of that comes through the body or the blood, like a cancer, exactly like you mentioned. So there's nowhere else to go. Sometimes we put it out as rage, sometimes words, or actions, no, maybe closing a door or something, or even worse, no, people go to fights and all. But some people just keep it in. I'm not telling fighting or arguing is good, uh, but some people keep it
mm,
in, then it becomes like a ticking time bomb, or worse, like it starts eating up from inside. So actually, these things like it can occur again and again, and it can come to explosive point also. But in the
mm,
natural tendency also, as long as we have this trauma kind of things, even in our subconscious, it starts working there and affects our day-to-day life. That's why some people you can see their behavioral patterns, like isolation.
mm,
They bring some kind of reasons for that. Some are legit and sometimes are true. But you can see the separation, uh,
mm,
and the way of life, the patterns, maybe even like substance abuse and all these kind of alcohol, no problems or drug problems, or like high tempered. Uh, these things also, but sometimes when you go to the solution of everything switches so fast. Even if they have been doing that for decades, it can be just switched if you go to the core of the thing or the matter. So as long as that is there, it comes to our body, and that's why we can like, have no appetite. We can feel sick. We feel tired, huh, and very weak in the body. So many things can happen, but it can go bigger, bigger, even to strokes, heart attacks, blood vessels rupturing, paralysis, lot of things. In a way, it's very dangerous.
mm. I like something you said, and that struck me real deep. You said most of the things that happen in our mind, it has nowhere to go. It goes to the body. And I thought of that to be true. You know, when you eat something not good, you can flush your system. You
Uh-huh.
can vomit it. You can use the restroom. You can poo.
Uh-huh.
But when it's happening in your mind, it's just there. It's just there. And sometimes you ponder on things unconsciously. That's the very powerful thing about the mind. You're pondering unconsciously. You're pondering subconsciously, right? And sometimes you're only conscious most of the time, and you don't know that there's something underneath, eating deep, right? But you're pondering, you're thinking about it, and you're not seeing the effect of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it today and I think just as we go for medical checkup
Mm-hmm.
for the body, I think we all, I say
Sure.
this
Yeah.
to also invite clients and
Mm-hmm.
say this to them. You need a coach, you need a counselor, you need a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes the reason why the body is sick is because the mind is. Not necessarily because you ate something bad or
Sure.
because you're in a bad environment. Most times it's because the mind is going through a stress that
Mm-hmm.
you can't see. You need someone to share with. You need someone that can help you see what you are not seeing
Mm-hmm.
and say to you the things that, ask you the right question. Somebody said something that got, what it said was, asking the right questions is even better than getting answers. I
Okay.
didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that. But when I sat and I thought about it, sometimes the answers you think you have about a situation is not really the true answer that you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a makeup in your mind. Something, there's no vacuum. You're trying to make up something. Like you said, sometimes it's untrue,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's true, but most of the times it's not right, it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But having a third party who asks you questions, because now they are not in your emotions, right? They're seeing things more logically, so they'll ask you things more logically. Guys, you need to go for coaching. You need to go for counseling. You need to see a therapist. Make it often, at least once in 3 months, once in 2 months, once in a month, if possible. It's needed because your health is not just your body. Your health is also your mind.
Sure.
Stress, stress that happens to the body first happens in the mind. And I don't know why people don't do this, but really, Santi, come to think of it,
Mm-hmm.
we are having an increase of stress level,
Sure.
burnout level, including myself, right? I was wondering 5 years ago, I wasn't burning out this bad. I was working the same and even more than I am working right now, right? I
Mm-hmm.
am, I make more money now than I make 5 years ago, but I wasn't this stressed. What is happening? There's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of depression. You remember, Sanjay, I reached out to you and I said, I need coaching from you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I know that these things are important, right? Let's talk about it. Why is this depression rate, trauma rate increasing? And the funny thing now is things that are not supposed to make people traumatic. It seems like our strength or our capacity to ward off negativity has
Mm-hmm.
really reduced. So any little negativity gets deep into us, eats us more.
Sure.
There were motivational words before now. When people say things against you, use it as a motivation. But these days, it doesn't work like that. When people say things about people, they sink. They
Yeah,
just go
yeah,
down
yeah.
to the
For
bottom,
sure.
right? You need to start
Uh,
padding them up. Come up, come up. But
uh,
we had forefathers. We have our ancestors. They
exactly.
met with resistance,
Uh,
difficulties, and challenges, but they didn't lose their mind. They kept pushing strong. So what is happening? Why is the traumatic or trauma rate increasing every day? The statistics is very high. Crazy statistics here.
yeah, yeah. So true. I think it's
Yeah.
according to the livelihood we are living, or our children are living, or the new generations. For example, think of the generations like who actually there is a big difference. For example, even our fathers, grandfathers, or before, they even went to what
Mm.
wars, right? And they were
Yeah.
like so tough or like so resilient. And now
Yeah.
when you see like over the generations after generations, it's like it deteriorated or it got washed up. Even males, females, all that. So and it became so because but everything brought to this stage where it is now. Everything feeds that. Even media or what we see, what we hear, all these things. Uh, we think it's in a sometimes we think it's in a positive way, but actually, look, for example, I'll tell you like before children could grow and go and play around. Huh? It
Mm.
makes like you see even little animals they play fight, right? Not they are not attacking each other. That is to strengthen their body, no? Even the mentality.
Mm.
Huh? So children
Mm.
they don't have to fight, but that activity, interactions, even games, all these things make them more stronger. We used to fall so many times. Even a fall doesn't really
Yes.
count no more, right? Yeah, we used to play the sports and all, even some tough sports like rugby and all. We used to fall so many times, and we used to like naturally our heads would turn to a direction like you don't break your nose or something, no? So,
Mm-hmm.
but since
Mm-hmm.
it was in the ground, and but likewise, and so we were telling even our generations, no, not that we are high and mighty or anything, we could just brush off something. We used to play and fall down, and sometimes with the wounds, we just wipe it off and try to play again. Huh? Or we are afraid, like I remember some people even applying something just because the parents will scold us. No, not because we are like crying about it or anything. But now you see, like children, they don't get this chance. When we came home after school or something, we used to climb the trees and all these things. And if there are water puddles or something, and we get a good scolding or a beating sometimes. But it was fun, right? And we were interacting. Sometimes we fight also. Uh, And that is like making people stronger. I mean, not the fighting or anything, but the interactions, no, physically as well as mentally. But now children are so caught up maybe in studies or something, uh, and they are so brittle and then or subtle, and then even not that you put children into danger or anything like that, but they don't have time. Even the adults, no, they work, work, work. They have no other social activities or outdoor activities or anything. So it is like their mind is so under constant stress. At home also when they come, they have their own problems. No, even economic things they have to do or solve their children's problems or uh, their duties and all this. And even in work when they go, it's the same or worse. And sometimes they have to come home back again. So see, like those days, people they had to cultivate their food. They walked on foot. They took natural medicines and all. It was hard for them actually. Maybe growing their stuff or before they say like hunter gatherers, right? So now should be easier for us, and we should have more time on our hands to do extra things, right? And become even more stronger, more independent. But no, it's the opposite, right? We have given that time and space for oh the system is like that. It makes you work more harder. Uh, So it says, oh, you don't have to work for 8 to 5 and you cannot go home. You work whole day, right? For the same kind of wage. If you come with comparison, or sometimes even lesser. With the money we can do now, it's much more less sometimes what we was able to do a couple of years ago. So we work actually, it's like the opposite side of the, we have got the wrong end maybe. Those people, they had their families, they used to cultivate all, maybe walk on foot to some place, wait for a letter that came after few weeks. But still, they could do all the stuff. They could be with their children, come back at home, have a nice evening at least, and a family gathering or food together. They went on pilgrims or places or journeys also even. Uh, with all this happening, right? They have their festivals, all this, no, celebrations, all these things. Now we say like we don't even have time to see our parents, or sometimes even husband and wife they don't have time to see their families, or you have to keep children in like for example like daycare centers. Then what happens, right? They don't feel the touch. Even if the father comes after sweaty and all, the touch and the embrace brings so much power to the child. But if the father comes drunk, even if there's no violence, uh, the child's mentality degrades in a huge way. And now the children are kept in a virtual reality, which is not true. So they don't know what's really happening. So when a real incident comes, they cannot stand it. It's not like a game, right? In games, you get another chance, or like all these action games, no? You can die many times, but you get a rebounds again, or you can start the game. But what happens if you go to a real scenario? No chance, right? So you have to be really tough and no, like the warriors or people who go there, right? So I'm just telling as example. So it is like the keyboard warrior thing now going on. And then when real things
mm,
struck them, it's unbearable. So there's so much trauma, so much stress, depression, anxiety, suicidal things happening. And even the sadness because people are consistently under either fear or stress, anxiety, depression, these kind of things, even children today.
mm.
Nobody seems like it's difficult to get out of that loop because from so oh you are under you take a loan Even for the wedding or something, you have to take a loan, no? Nowadays, or to get a car or to buy a house. So until maybe your last part of your life, you keep on paying that. So that is a big
mm,
burden, no? Upon that, when
mm,
other things also come, say every month, you have to pay something.
mm.
That's always there, and if you just slightly miss it or something, if you're an honest person, it really strikes you, right? Uh,
Yes,
so likewise, there are
yes.
so many methods and in a way, like the way it's all constructed now, it keeps in a very fragile
Mm,
state. It's so difficult to be independent or separate yourself. Huh? In a way, like we don't own nothing. Huh? And we, unless we are like, actually nowadays, if a farm or somebody, but still we are not
mm,
sure whether
mm,
we own the land even.
mm,
Yeah, even the money we put in a bank, we don't know what will happen next if the economy collapses. Huh? Or if
mm,
we are living in a city or something, we are so fragile, right? Because if our food source and all, like the COVID times, right? Remember, if that system fails or something happens, we are done for. I have
mm,
talked to people in some countries, like the banks have closed for some specific reason. The ATMs don't have money in them. My goodness,
mm,
like they had gone through like so much difficult. Now it's switching around a bit. But what if, no? But even before that, we are consistently under so much stress. That's why some people tend to
mm,
go back to ancient methods or go to farming or like,
mm,
no, like go, they say go off the grid actually. We all cannot do that, like suddenly walk out, no? But at least to be with nature or expose our children in a safe environment, not to put them in danger. Uh, because, like, before the mobile phones and all these things came, kids used to play, And uh, and you can see still, even though they condemn these children as poor and all, but at least they get to play around, be with their brothers and sisters, no? And actually, they are much more stronger. Even their immune system is stronger, right? Not that they should be in poverty or anything like that. Uh, but you can see the difference. And some, uh, they are so, even in rich families and all, they are so sick and all these children, so fragile, even physically as well as mentally. They get depression and so many things so easily, just by some harsh
mm,
word, like you mentioned. So it applies to adults. These are the people who become adults, right?
mm.
Or the food we take, all has their effect.
Wow. So what I hear you say is right now, the lifestyle, the upbringing,
Mm,
everything is affecting everything that is affecting us.
sure.
Because come to really think of it, growing up, it was a bit harsher, right? We didn't have much of the things we have
Sure,
now
sure.
back then. I didn't see much.
Uh-huh.
If you needed to read, you couldn't read with a phone. You don't have a
Yeah,
phone,
yeah, surely.
right?
Uh-huh.
Sometimes in an entire community, maybe just one person has a phone. So you
Mm.
want to make call, you have to go pay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
We But right now it's in your face every time. So I had a training sometime this week, and
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking in the meeting, and I said something. I said, right now, I don't know what is happening to our society. This is one of the most informed generation, but this is one of the most struggling generation. I
Mm.
thought they said knowledge is power. I thought they said knowledge is an advantage. So we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. What everything we're talking about right now, sometimes it took us years to learn. But if
Mm-hmm.
someone wants to learn about it, they just go ChatGPT. What is trauma? ChatGPT gives them a full book.
Uh-huh.
We had to go through the experience. So sometimes the experience builds character
True.
and not because what I hear you say is the pressures of life, the
Mhm.
environmental challenges, the financial pressure,
Mhm.
the family pressure, they all it's more like put this thing together the way it tone and then
Mhm.
you put it on us. And like
Sure.
each and every one of us is carrying a ton of pressure to some extent. I'm
Mhm.
worried every day. What am I gonna eat? How am I gonna get a next client? How am I gonna stay in business? How am I gonna pay taxes? How am I gonna pay my bills? How am I gonna, So there's a ton of pressure on us every single day,
Mhm.
every waking hour. There's a ton of pressure.
Mhm.
Now that pressure on us not being lifted, any little thing can trigger trauma.
Sure.
Pressure plus a little pressure, trauma.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pressure plus a little pressure and more little pressures, more trauma. So we
Mhm.
have people who have not just one traumatic experience. You hear things like, I have verbal abuse, I had, and I'm asking sometimes, right? If verbal abuse is real, I
Mhm.
don't take it for granted. I'm not trying to, but
Sure, sure.
sometimes I ask the question, right? Does a verbal abuse have the power to ruin your life if
Mhm.
you have internal capacity to ward off negativity?
Uh-huh.
Every time I ask that question, the answer is no. Nothing has the power to run your life
Mhm.
until you give it the power, then it runs your life.
Mhm.
Tell me, what do you think we can do on a daily basis to help reduce this traumatic experience as coaches, as individuals, as families, as teachers, as
Mhm.
mentors, as gurus, as pastors, whatever? How do you think every single one of us can contribute? Parents, everybody. How can we contribute to reduce the amount of traumatic experiences people are having out there, right? What can be done?
Mhm. So yeah, uh, one thing is like we become more aware of this situation, uh,
Mm,
be aware, and we try to help each other for sure, as individuals as well as coaches. I'll try to cover all those parts in one. So
mm,
yeah, there are few steps we can do. So
mm,
one is like we being aware or being making awareness with others, and then
mm,
acknowledgement, accept of trauma to show like this is
mm,
like for example now they say like ADHD or depression, it is not some weird kind of
mm,
thing, no? And sometimes even in
mm,
children it is not a problem actually, they can be super brilliant in one, they should not be
mm,
like given medicines and crushed. huh? They can be
mm,
super because it's just one system, no? And that
mm,
if they cannot, but they may be brilliant in and there are instances like that also. huh?
mm,
So uh, we can bring this awareness of like and then steps for like per people can definitely take professional support, like you mentioned, of coaches as well as uh, even like even psychotherapists, no, like psychologists and all, if they want they can actually reach, because there are now so many options than before. huh? In a way it's like very sad, like why is this all happening even, no? And then one of another beautiful thing is like self compassion and forgiveness. If we can have like self compassion, we can start healing ourselves. And if we can forgive ourselves or even the people, if it was done by somebody else, if we start forgiving that, that's a big process. So you can use any kind of, no, even religious aspects or anything that helps you, or spiritual, holistic, or educational, or anything. But the thing is, like, we have to use for forgiveness for oneself, and definitely we need self compassion because we need to heal first, right? And we deserve it, and nobody has to go through it on and on. So, this is a factor we can bring into our day to day lives. Uh, and yeah, later we can talk about coping mechanisms as well as also. And if we have a strong support system, say some friends or family, that will be a huge somebody you can talk to. Before there was no, like you could talk to somebody, maybe your best friend, no. But now it seems like we are more isolated or separated, and we think it's a good thing, but no, actually. We were talking this in also because I think in still our countries we have this more, you know, uh, it's a blessing. No, the families are big and then there's people, but still like the system slowly makes us separated because we have to find jobs, no, do things, or we have to focus on our families. But still, luckily, like they gather together, there's something happening together, which is a huge blessing. Because in ancient times, they had this support system always. And they used to build even houses so close proximity, not covered by all the walls and separations and deeds and all this stuff, right? Uh, so actually, if something went wrong, the person would recognize and ask, like, "Are you all right? What is going on with you?" Or some elders would come and try to give you some advice or through their experiences, no? So there was a system like that. We think like, oh, this is modern age and we have all these things. No, but that was like real high quality stuff. There were people, plenty of people to listen to you. Uh, So this support system also even in a workplace and all, if we have a good support system, that will be a huge blessing. And personally, uh, if we can slowly get rid of the negatives and redefine things, that is a huge plus point. Uh, And you know what? We can transform the traumas and experience or turn it into learning experiences. That's a big plus if a person can do that. And there are some people so brave. If it is a generational trauma, say not like sexually or anything like that, but still verbally maybe, like you mentioned. Maybe the father's father was like that. The father was like, but the son is different. They want to break that pattern, and he treats his children better. Maybe the wife, no? She stops that pattern, and she breaks the pattern. So it can be done. Like we went through this, we don't want anything anybody else going through it. So actually, the real good coaches and all, they say like they have gone through a lot of things personally, also even traumatic situations. And when
Yeah.
you start trying to help other people, actually, that's a huge boost for oneself
Mm,
as well as, but you have to
mm,
be very careful not to get triggered or like put your stuff onto other people or anything. Or you should know you are in a safe place to start. So, but still, when you talk to other people or try, I went through this, I also went, or sharing their experience for that matter. Some people go on open
mm,
stages, no? And they talk about their experience, which is very brave. Uh, they are not crying about it. No, they telling the journey that made them free from that, or how they want it, right? So even the worst of kind of like thinkable situations, they almost died,
mm,
or they
mm,
met somebody like somebody so brutal or dangerous. Uh, there are people who almost died, no, with by a serial killer or somebody like that, but still they survived. So
mm.
there are people, those are massive traumas, right? Who were like
Yeah.
enslaved, but still they want it, right? So sharing those kind of things can even free people from subtler things, make them more
Mm,
stronger, more powerful. So there are
mm,
so many things that can be done. So, and we can practice methods like gratitude, uh, and definitely bring our mind to the present moment. And most of all, if we can start helping people, like we mentioned, who are struggling with these, yeah, that is a huge plus because trauma and lot of things are self-centered, usually, right? All these
Wow.
things are
Wow.
self-serving. We can do like selfless acts to help people. That makes a huge difference in our own lives and even healing
Mm,
traumas. In
mm,
karma and all these places also these are said. Karma is action, nothing like some awkward thing. It says action. So we do the reverse action. From of what we went through, or what we had to go through. We are doing the opposite, like we are helping those people uh, to come out of it, or protecting them, or providing assistance, or no, like that. So there are so many things that can be done as coaches, as individuals, or societies. So that can make, and definitely we have to like expose children and all these things for like sports and these kind of things to make them physically strong. Even mental exercises, mindfulness, all these things. You build the buffer zone before. It's like a protective shield, like a armor. You cannot do it then and there when it happens. But more you get strong to it, more you get, then more resistance you have, like a very good shock absorber. You can bounce back.
mm.
But life will definitely bring places like it drops, no? It has to be. It's not always a
Yes. Very
upward curve, no? Even
much.
everything goes down, right? The stock
Mm.
markets, the climates, no? Everything, the bar
Everything.
charts, no? So, but the best thing is like bouncing back up again.
Wow. I love how you were able to. Because I was gonna come back and say, what's your advice for coaches? But you just found a way to put it in one one speech. So here's what I say to coaches. Um, there are certain things that are constant. They cannot be eradicated totally. They can only be managed,
True.
right? And I want to believe trauma is one of those things. You can't eradicate it because you're living in a world where um, there was a Sanskrit book I read
Mhm.
which talked about suras asuras.
Uh-huh.
They're they're good people, not not because of anything,
Mhm.
but there are other people who are not very good people.
Uh,
There's you can't do much about it. Is there a noise from my background?
a little bit of noise.
Little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Please continue.
So there's the suras and suras. In the society there will be good people. In the society there will be bad people. Not it's not within your control.
Uh-huh.
So you can't you really cannot control this trauma thing,
Mhm.
right? All you can do is manage yourself. So you don't want to be a part of the problem. You want to be a part of the solution. There will be people who verbally assault you, who
Mhm.
physically want to. There will be people who sexually. They're just there. You can't do nothing about it, right? It's only when you catch them you can persecute them. But if you don't catch them, they do it, right?
True.
You can't do much about, but you can work on it. You have the power. That's what we are saying. And as coaches, your job is to help people. Your job is to listen for them, be their ears, be their hand, be their shoulders, be their strength, be their friend.
Mhm.
That's your job as a coach, as a counselor, as a therapist, as a psychiatrist. Your
Mhm.
job is not to see the people as a victim. You are not the hero in the situation. No, you are a guide. You are a friend. You are a support system,
Mhm.
right? They should be able to come to you. So coaches, you too need to be coached.
Mhm.
Some of us coaches, what we do is we take the pain of people, we take their traumatic experiences, because when they share their story, we take a part of the story also,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
When they share their story, we take a part of that story.
True.
And there's a residue on us. Sometimes you have to go meditate, which we're going to do immediately after this.
Okay,
We're going
okay.
to meditate,
Uh-huh.
release the energy, release the traumatic experiences, release the traumatic story that you've been keeping in your heart and in your mind. You need to be coached. You need someone also to reach out to. The society is a society because of people. People make it strong. People come together to make a society.
Mhm.
Thank you for today, Sanjay. So please, can we do a meditation and
Yes, sir.
let out the negative energy?
Okay. Okay. So let's do a meditation. So actually, I was thinking of letting go, sorry, uplifting practice, but I'll focus since you said like about a coach's aspect also of letting go. I'll use that also. So I'll try to combine both of them. So these can be implemented in so many ways and methods. So yeah, first try to sit comfortably and try to relax. And just will not do all those things like we did before. Take a few deep breaths. And with each breath, try to let go any kind of tension or anything if possible. It doesn't have to be 100%. There's no perfection, right or wrong, none of that. Just let loose and place your hands also in a comfortable position, the most comfortable position you can think of. Even your knees, uh, even the feet, just let them, if you want, stretch them forward any way you feel more comfortable. And loosen up even your shoulders, the neck region, the head, all these. Just see how comfortable or as much as possible. Now, what we'll do is later, if you can, when you're practicing for 5 to 10 minutes, if you can do relaxation one time and then other practices or one of these practices also, totally fine. So, as a coach, it is said if we can be like a dustbin without the bottom part. Uh, it is like ancient master said, like if you can be like a dustbin without the bottom of it, you can put in all the things, no? But you can let it go, so you don't have to keep a residue. So that's the best analogy of how good teacher or a yeah, because teachers were those days like the counselors and no psychiatrists and all this all in one. Uh, So likewise, we also know as parents or guardians or adults or coaches or, or counselors or all this, even psychologists have to do this. Uh, So if we can be that, it's not degrading or like insulting, it's just an example. If we can let go, the space will be filled up with positive things. And not only that, we are able to help and absorb or take in lot of things from externally or from the others. But we don't have to keep them, just like our breath, just like our pulse, just like every moment of the day. The sunrise and then the sun goes down. The days pass, the weeks pass, the years pass. Or coming even more, the hours, minutes, the seconds pass away. Nothing stays actually, unless we try to keep it. So trauma is also like that. Even the other person's trauma. So if we know, even if we focus on the breath or the heartbeat or the pulse, we can see it's consistently, it's happening. Or just like the breath, how much we want to keep it in, it doesn't happen. We have to let it go, and then a new breath will arise. So likewise, with each exhale, all these things are taken out of our system, but we don't know. We try to grab hold onto them. So more we let go, more relaxation happens. As an individual or as a coach, there's plenty of capacity. And more lesser ego we have, it's easy to connect. That's why meditation takes us more deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you go to the depths of things, it's much more easier to connect, even with others. Let's do this. For now, I'll just introduce a method of enhancement. So think of one of the qualities you have or any talent you have. Everybody has for sure. The negatives are less actually. Think of one good quality you have or skill you have and remember it. And just think, may I be not taken away from this good quality I have or the skill I have. Just contemplate. You don't have to think on and on and on and on, but just think of the good quality or the skill or what you gain through the years of hard work, maybe, or studies, the knowledge. It could be anything financially, physically, your good health, what you went through in life, the experiences, anything. Just take one and just value that and just think, may I be not taken away from this good quality or the skill or the wealth, anything, knowledge that I have. Just think, bring that positivity. Later, you can do journaling, you can do positive affirmations, but this also really works. This is an ancient method. It's actually called sympathetic joy. It's the opposite of jealousy and all. But this is a glimpse of it for today. So, with that in mind, you can combine this with loving kindness meditation, breath meditation, all those kind of practices. What we do is we bring up a positive quality we have and we remind ourselves and let it happen and think like, may I not be taken away from this. Okay, so with that in mind for today, let's wrap things up and keep this into our life as well as day-to-day activities and on the journey and bring that effect into other people also. Okay, so thank you so much, Simon, for inviting and being the host and doing all these things, even the post and everything. And thank you,
Mhm.
our friends, for joining today. And thank you for having me
Thank you.
also. And we
Thank you, sir.
hopefully will meet again and again. And I wish you all
Yeah.
the very best.
All right. So you have a wonderful
Okay,
evening.
you too.
Have a
Have a
wonderful day.
wonderful day. See you again.
All
Hope to see
right.
you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. See you guys. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. All right.